Welcome to Learn English with Tech Leads with your hosts, Marcus and Sarah. Deconstructing world-class software architecture and engineering culture so you can master professional tech English. Let's dive in.
Imagine this scenario. It is the end of the quarter. You sit down at your desk. You open your performance review document.
Oh, that is a stressful moment.
It really is. And for the first time, you are reading this crucial document directly in English. You are not doing a mental translation in your head. You are just absorbing the words.
Oh, right.
And right there on the first page, under your name, you see a phrase you have never heard before. It says, inconsistent communication with stakeholders.
Wow. Yeah, your stomach just drops when you read that.
Exactly.
Because in that exact moment, you realize something critical. Your manager never mentioned this in your weekly one-on-one meetings. They never made an offhand comment about it after a stand-up.
Let's actually pause right there for a second. Let's make sure that jargon is perfectly clear.
Oh, sure. So a stand-up. A stand-up is a short daily meeting where a tech team shares updates. It's called a stand-up because people often literally stand up so they get tired and the meeting stays short.
That is a great definition. So you didn't hear this negative feedback after the stand-up. You didn't hear about it anywhere.
No, you didn't. It just appears in the official permanent human resources document with zero warning.
Right. You are caught off guard, meaning you are completely surprised by something you did not expect. And, well, welcome to this deep dive. Today, we are taking a close look at a very specific high-stress situation.
We are talking about the English language performance review in a corporate tech environment.
Yes, we are. As senior developers and tech leads, your engineering skills are already elite. Our goal today is to make sure your professional English communication gives you that exact same level of confidence.
That is the mission, because this scenario, this surprise negative feedback, it happens to international tech leads all the time.
It really does. And it brings us to a massive core mistake that people make. Think about how you prepare for a performance review in English.
Most people practice their vocabulary for the live meeting.
Right.
You figure out how to talk about your code deployments. You practice sounding confident.
Exactly. You prepare for the live conversation, but the problem is the formal document is already written before that meeting even starts.
Yes. The text is final. The decisions about your performance happened weeks or maybe months earlier.
They happened during all those daily conversations where you just assumed everything was fine.
Right. You assumed your manager would just tell you if something was wrong. So, you didn't proactively dig for the feedback in English.
And that assumption is exactly where things go wrong. So today, we are going to explore a very specific 4-step framework.
This framework is designed to help you extract real, unfiltered feedback from your manager long before the review cycle closes.
We are going to look at how to use precise English phrasing to take total control of this process. But before we get into the actual steps, we need to understand the root cause.
The why behind it all.
Exactly. Why does this surprise feedback happen in the first place? I mean, why wouldn't a manager just tell you that your stakeholder communication is bad when it actually happens?
Well, it really comes down to a cultural trap. It is a clash of communication styles.
So?
In many cultures around the world, if a manager has a problem with your code or your behavior, they will tell you directly. It might be blunt, but it is very clear.
Right.
But the management culture in most American or English-speaking corporate environments is very different. An American manager rarely gives direct negative feedback in a casual setting. Well, unless you explicitly force them to.
Oh, I see. So in a weekly one-on-one meeting, they prefer to keep things positive.
Exactly. They will say things like, you're doing well, keep it up. They try to soften the blow.
Let's explain that phrase. They try to soften the blow, meaning they try to make the bad news sound less harsh and much more comfortable for you.
Yes. They soften the message when they are speaking to you in person. But they save the unfiltered, honest truth for the formal, written document.
Why do they do that, though? I mean, if they want to be polite, why not just write a polite document?
Because that formal document goes to the Human Resources Department. It becomes a legal, official record of your employment.
Ah, right.
So if they ever need to justify not giving you a promotion or putting you on a performance improvement plan, they absolutely need a paper trail.
That makes sense.
So they feel forced to be painfully honest in the text, even if their cultural instinct was to be overly polite to you face to face.
There is a really famous book in our industry called The Manager's Path by Camille Fournier. She talks all about engineering management.
Oh, that is a great book.
It is. And she has this core principle: avoid big surprises. She argues that if a piece of feedback is going to be in your formal review, it should absolutely not be the first time you are hearing about it.
Right. It violates the golden rule of management.
Yeah.
It is completely unfair to you as the employee. I mean, you cannot fix a problem if you don't even know it exists.
I always think about this using a software testing analogy. Getting surprise feedback in a formal review is exactly like finding a critical bug in production, but it never showed up in your local testing environment.
Oh, I love that framing.
Thanks. In this analogy, your weekly one-on-one meetings, those are your local testing environment. The formal review is production.
That is perfect. If your unit tests are passing locally, you assume the code is solid. If your manager is smiling and saying good job in your one-on-ones, well, you assume your performance is solid.
Exactly. But here is where I really need to push back on this idea.
Okay, let's hear it.
If managers are culturally wired to hide these bugs, the negative feedback, because they want to avoid conflict, how can we possibly force them to reveal the issues early?
That is the big question.
Right. If their natural instinct is to dodge the problem, why would asking them about it change their personality?
Well, that is the real challenge. You cannot change their personality. But staying with your analogy, to catch bugs early, you don't change the software, you write better tests.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In management communication, writing better tests means asking highly specific, heavily constrained questions.
Meaning you give them fewer options to answer?
Exactly. You have to use English phrases that mathematically remove the manager's ability to be polite and vague.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. You trap them into giving you the truth. And that brings us to step 1 of the framework. Ask for specific feedback before the cycle closes.
Timing is the very first critical factor here. You have to ask for this feedback in a one-on-one meeting long before the document's due date.
Right. You cannot wait for your manager to decide it is time to talk about performance. You have to initiate the test yourself.
Yes. And the source text gives us a truly great phrase for this.
It does. You should say this. Before the review cycle closes, I want to check I'm not missing anything. Is there anything you've noticed that isn't showing up in our regular one-on-ones?
Let's look at why that specific English sentence is so effective. First, you are stating the context before the review cycle closes.
You are letting them know you are actively thinking about the formal HR process.
Right. Then you explicitly say, I want to check I'm not missing anything. By saying that out loud, you are giving the manager psychological permission to drop the polite act.
You are showing them you actually want the critical feedback. But what is equally important here is what you should not say.
Oh, definitely.
You should never just sit down and ask, how am I doing?
Oh, no. How am I doing is a terrible question in this context. It is way too open-ended.
Our sources explain that asking, how am I doing, invites a courtesy answer. Let's make sure we define that jargon.
Please do.
A courtesy answer is a polite response that tells you what you want to hear, rather than the concrete, honest truth. It is just a social reflex.
Exactly. If you ask, how am I doing? The polite American manager will instinctively give a courtesy answer.
They will just smile.
Yes, they will smile and say, you're doing fine. The last sprint went great. They are trying to be nice, but they are not giving you the data you need for your career.
Right. The first question we discussed, is there anything you've noticed that isn't showing up? That makes it very clear you are hunting for missing data. You are not just asking for a compliment.
Exactly.
Okay, so you have set the stage with step 1. You asked for the hidden feedback. But let's be realistic here.
Always a good idea.
Sometimes, even with that great opening question, a manager who hates conflict will still give you a soft, fluffy answer. They might just say, no, everything we talk about is pretty much it.
Well, that happens a lot. When people want to soften things, they naturally speak in generalities.
And a generality is just a broad statement with no specific details.
Right. To cut through a generality, you have to force a constraint. You have to force them to name just one thing.
And this is step 2. Ask directly about your growth area. Here is the phrase you use to create that constraint.
Listen closely to this one.
You look at them and ask, if you had to name one thing that's holding me back from the next level, what would it be?
The mechanics of that sentence are just brilliant. If you had to name one thing, you are giving them a very tight parameter.
They cannot just say everything is fine, because the structure of your question demands a single specific obstacle.
Exactly. You are also using the phrase, holding me back from the next level.
Which attaches the feedback directly to your promotion. It attaches to your career progression. It raises the stakes.
Right. Now, compare that to a very common mistake. Many ESL learners will default to asking, is there anything I should improve?
That sounds like a perfectly reasonable question, though. It is grammatically correct. Why does it fail in a real corporate environment?
Because of the word anything. Asking, is there anything, gives the manager an easy out.
Let's make sure that idiom is perfectly clear for everyone listening. An easy out. An easy out is a simple excuse to avoid doing something difficult. It is an escape hatch.
Exactly right. Telling an employee they need to improve is socially difficult. It creates tension.
So if you ask a yes or no question like, is there anything? You give the manager an easy out.
Yes. They can just take the escape hatch and say, no, nothing to improve.
But when you ask, what is the one thing holding me back? There is no easy out.
Right. It is not a yes or no question. They have to actually search their mind and provide a concrete piece of data.
Okay, we have covered the first half of the framework. Step 1, ask before the cycle closes. Step 2, ask directly for one specific growth area.
But I know what you're going to say next.
You do. I want to introduce another layer of friction here. What happens if you do all of this? You use the exact right phrases and the manager still dodges.
It does happen.
What if they say, honestly, I can't think of one thing, you're just doing a really great job? How do you pin them down when they flat out refuse to give you a negative?
That is the ultimate test of this framework. And it is exactly where we move to step 3.
Okay, let's hear it.
If they won't give you a negative, you have to pin them down by forcing them to categorize you. Step 3 is check your own calibration with a closed question.
So the manager gives you that vague answer. Honestly, you're doing great. You have to turn that vague word great into a rigid category.
Yes.
Here is the phrase you use. Based on this quarter, would you say I'm meeting expectations, exceeding them, or is there a gap you're seeing that I'm not?
That single sentence completely changes the dynamic of the conversation. And the key concept here is that word, calibration.
Let's define calibration for our listeners. In software engineering, calibration means adjusting a tool or a sensor so it measures accurately against a known standard.
If a thermometer isn't calibrated, it gives you bad data.
Right. In engineering management, calibration means adjusting your own understanding of your performance. You adjust it so it matches exactly how your manager is measuring you.
Beautifully explained. So when you ask, am I meeting expectations or exceeding them, you are calibrating. You are not asking for their feelings anymore.
You are asking them to place you into a specific HR bucket.
Exactly. And notice the vocabulary, meeting expectations, exceeding expectations. These are not just casual English words.
No, they are not. Those are the literal categories used in formal human resources documents. Almost every tech company uses some variation of that exact scale.
By using those exact words, you're forcing the manager to use the vocabulary of the formal review long before they actually write the formal review.
It leaves zero room for a generic, polite answer. They cannot just reply with great. Great is not an HR category.
No, it is not. They have to choose a box.
And here is where the magic really happens. If they were just being politely evasive before, this question traps them. If they say, well, you know, you're mostly meeting expectations, but, then boom.
You found it.
Yes. You have found the hidden feedback. You have discovered the production bug while you are still safely in the local environment.
It is incredibly satisfying when you see it work. You can literally watch the manager shift from casual conversation mode into formal evaluation mode.
That is amazing. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. Step 4, close the loop before the formal review.
This step is your final safety net. You should ask this specific question exactly 1 week before the official performance review meeting is scheduled to happen.
At this point, the HR document is definitely written. It is already submitted, but the formal meeting has not happened yet.
Right.
Here's what you say to your manager. Is there anything in the written review that's going to be new information for me, or have we covered all of it already in our conversations?
Timing is everything for this step. Why ask exactly 1 week prior?
It is entirely about the emotional reality of receiving feedback. Receiving negative feedback is stressful for anyone.
Absolutely.
But receiving negative feedback in a second language, while you are trying to process the complex professional vocabulary in real time, right in front of your boss, that is a massive cognitive load.
It is exhausting. You are trying to manage your facial expressions, you are translating the exact nuance of the critique, and you are trying to formulate a professional response, all at the exact same time.
Exactly. It is too much. But if you ask this question a week early and they admit, yes, there is actually some new information in the document, you have just gained a massive strategic advantage. You have gained time.
You are pulling the curtain back.
Yeah.
Meaning You're revealing the secret information before the big presentation actually happens.
Right. If they admit there is new information, you can ask for the high-level details right then and there.
And then you get to process that feedback privately.
Exactly. You can go home, you can digest the information, you can look up any corporate English phrasing you didn't fully understand, and you can prepare your response calmly.
You completely remove the shock value from the formal meeting.
Yes. You won't be staring at a PDF reading inconsistent communication with stakeholders for the very first time.
It shifts the power dynamic. You're not just reacting to the review, you're actively managing it.
Let's put this entire framework together. The sources provide a really good breakdown of how this sounds in reality. I want you, the listener, to really feel how these phrases chain together.
Let's do it.
Imagine you are sitting in your one-on-one meeting. It is 3 weeks before the review cycle closes. Your heart might be beating a little faster because you are about to push your manager out of their comfort zone.
You take a breath, and you initiate step 1 and step 2 right together.
You say, before the review cycle closes, I want to check I'm not missing anything. Is there anything you've noticed this quarter that isn't showing up in our regular one-on-ones? And if you had to name one thing holding me back from the next level, what would it be?
Notice how natural that sounds when you link them together. The first question opens the door. It explicitly gives them permission to be critical. The second question immediately applies the constraint. It forces them to name a specific obstacle.
But let's say the manager is really stubborn. They take the easy way out and reply, honestly, you're doing great. I don't have any major concerns right now.
You don't panic. You expected this. You smoothly transition into step 3 to calibrate.
You nod and reply, that's good to hear. Just to calibrate, would you say I'm meeting expectations or exceeding them this cycle? I want to make sure my own read matches yours before the review officially goes out.
That is flawless professional English. It is polite, it is highly articulate, but it's an absolute trap.
Right.
The closed question forces them out of the vague word great and into a concrete HR category. If their answer hesitates or shifts into meeting expectations, but you have successfully extracted the data you need.
And then, of course, you follow up a couple of weeks later with step 4. You do that just to ensure there are absolutely no surprises in the final document.
The beauty of this framework is that it works precisely because of the vocabulary. You are not just improving your English grammar, you are using the structure of the English language to navigate a very specific corporate culture.
As we wrap up this deep dive, let's distill the core actionable takeaway for everyone listening. Do not wait for the formal document to tell you how you are performing.
Never wait.
Do not let the English language feedback process simply happen to you. You are a senior tech lead. You manage complex systems every day. You need to manage your feedback loop with the exact same rigor.
You can completely eliminate the dread of the surprise review by using this sequence. Ask before the cycle closes. Specify by demanding exactly one growth area.
Right.
Calibrate by forcing your manager to choose an HR category. And close the loop a week before the final meeting to protect your own emotional bandwidth.
Your technical skills are already elite. They got you this far. But mastering these highly specific, constrained English phrases will give you immense confidence in your career.
Absolutely.
You will walk into every single performance review knowing exactly what is going to be written on the page long before you even sit down.
It allows you to respect the American manager's culturally polite communication style, while still firmly demanding the clarity and truth you need to grow as an engineering leader. It is a win-win.
We want to leave you with one final thought to ponder today. We have spent this entire time talking about how to survive the performance review from the perspective of the employee.
We have talked about managing up.
Right. But think about your own trajectory. If you master the art of asking these difficult, precise questions now, well, imagine how much better and how much more honest you will be when you become the manager writing the reviews for your own engineering team.
You will be the manager who never surprises their team. And in tech, that is the best kind of manager to work for.
That's a wrap. If this breakdown helped, hit subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss a lesson. Keep learning, and we'll see you next time.